We're on the bottom of Pei Hey, 85B on the bottom. So this today does not have to do with yevamos. A little bit, one word, but not too much. We had most of it already before. So here it talks about Bas Yisrael, who restless Lakohen. So the Hakdama, everybody knows that Kohen can eat Truma, and Bas Kohen can eat Truma, and if she marries Yisrael, she cannot. In contrast, Bas, what did I say? I'm sorry, I lost my trend. Bas Yisrael cannot eat Truma unless she marries a Kohen. And the Bas Kohen can eat Truma until she marries Yisrael. But if she marries Yisrael, she cannot. Here it talks about Erusin, and Rashi tells us that what I was going to say here, I already told us already before on Daf Samach Zayin, Ayuber, by Yavam, by Erusin, Poslim V'Lo Machilim. So it says the same thing in different words over here. Bas Yisrael Mereshes LaKohen, or Muberes LaKohen, or Shemesh Yavam LaKohen, V'chein Bas Kohen LiYisrael Lo Sochel B'Truma. So here are three situations. One is that she does that Erusin and not Nesuin. And the second one is that she's pregnant, but the baby wasn't born yet. And the third one is she's a Shemeres Yavam, and she did not have Yibum yet. So in all these three cases, Poslim V'Lo Machilim. Poslim means that if she's a Bas Kohen, so and now she's going to Yisrael, either she's getting married to Yisrael, or she's pregnant over Yisrael, or she's Shemeres Yavam to Yisrael. So that passes her from eating. That's Poslim. That's the second part. Bas Kohen Yisrael. The first case would be Bas Yisrael, that she's going into the family of a Kohen. Either she's Meresses to a Kohen, or she's pregnant from a Kohen, or she's a Shemesh Yavam to a Kohen. It's not enough to give her the Truma. So that's and same thing it says Poslim V'Lo Machilim. Here it says it in longer words. It says Bas Yisrael who is either Meresses LaKohen or Muberes LaKohen or Shemesh Yavam LaKohen, or the opposite, Bas Yisrael Kohen to a Yisrael who is Muberes, Muberes, or Shemesh Yavam. All these cases no Sochel B'Truma. Either if she's a Bas Kohen, she loses the Truma, or if she's a Bas Yisrael going to a Kohen, she does not yet get entry into the Kohen. That we know already. Not a Mishnah says a Chiddush. Same thing applies to as far as Meiser, as far as Bas Yisrael, because this Mishnah is we're going to see holds that Meiser is not allowed to be eaten only by a family of Levi. So here it says the same thing over again, but instead of showing about Bas Kahuna with Truma, it talks about Leviah with Meiser. Bas Yisrael Meresses Levi, Muberes Levi, Shemesh Yavam Levi, V'chein Bas Levi the Yisrael, L'Sochel B'Meiser. So it's the same formula as before. Before it was talking about Truma as far as the Kohen, Bas Kohen. It's talking about Yisrael, Bas Yisrael, getting into the family of a Levi in order to be able to eat Meiser. That's a Chiddush, because as far as we know, Meiser Rishon is mutter to everybody. Truma is Kodesh, and it's only mutter to be eaten by a Kohen or his family, Matnas Kaspel. But Meiser, as far as we know, is just Chulin. And it's a present given to a Levi, but not that it's us if anybody else eats. He can share with anybody. But here the Mishnah holds that only Leviim are allowed to eat Meiser. Therefore it says that a Bas Yisrael who's not yet fully married to a Levi, or she's having a Uber, but he's not yet born a Levi, or if she's Shemesh Yavam to a Levi, but she's not yet married to him, all these cases does not yet allow her to eat Meiser. And the opposite, Bas Levi the Yisrael, that she's either Mereshes to Yisrael, while she was a Bas Levi, not married, she'd be allowed to eat Meiser. But now that she's Mereshes to a Yisrael, or pregnant from a Yisrael, or Shemesh Yavam to Yisrael, that also stops her from eating Meiser. And then the last part of the Mishnah says, Leviah and Kahuna. We said so far that Kohanim eat Truma, and Bas Kohen eats Truma, Ishes Kohen eats Truma, a mother of a Kohen eats Truma, and Meiser, the same thing as far as a Levi. But now it's a Bas Levi, Mereshes LaKohen, or the opposite, a Bas Kohen that's going to a Levi. So she loses out on both. She loses out both ends. Whatever she had, she loses out, and she didn't get in to get the new thing. It means that Leviah would be able to have Meiser. Kuna is able to have Truma. If she's on the Ma'avar, she's in the transfer from one state to another state. So the same way we said, Erusin or Ibor or Shemeres Yavam, Poslim V'Lo Machilim. So that would be the case over here. Sounds like an extreme case. Bas Levi Meresses LaKohen, Muberes LaKohen, Shemesh Yavam LaKohen, V'chein Bas Kohen Levi, Lo Sochel B'Truma V'Lo B'Meiser. She loses out on both things. She was a Bas Levi, she was mutter to Meiser and Usher to Truma. But now that she's Meresses or Muberes or Shemesh Yavam, she loses the Meiser that she was mutter, and she's not yet mutter to have the Truma. And the opposite of Bas Kohen Levi, that till now she was allowed to have Truma, but now that she's on the entry to a Levi, either because she's Muberes, or Shemesh Yavam, so she loses that Truma that she had, and she doesn't yet get the Meiser. So that's the Mishnah. The Mishnah needs an explanation, and the last thing especially, the Gemara is going to take care of everything. But the first halacha is one more. First halacha was mamish simple. We had that already. The second halacha brings in that only levim are allowed to eat ma'aser. That's a big chiddush. And the third thing talks about Bas Levi with a kahuna also, that she's still also that not allowed to eat ma'aser. That's going to be even more difficult, that even a Kohen is not allowed to eat ma'aser either. So that'll be the Gemara's discussions. Everything's good so far? We're okay? The Gemara starts. Utehei Zora, let it even be a non-Kohen. Means the Gemara is asking the question that we presented, that we never heard, or we heard once upon a time. The Gemara brought it down once upon a time, but the Pasha says that there's no issur for a non-Kohen, non-Levi to eat ma'aser. So what's the problem that in the second case, the first case is about Truma, second case is about Levi, about ma'aser. What's the problem of a non-Levi eating ma'aser? What's the problem? A non-Levi allowed to eat ma'aser. Utehei Zora, let it be a foreigner, let it be a non-Levi. Zora Milo Othla b'ma'aser, is the non-Levi not allowed to eat ma'aser? I'm Rav Nachman, I'm Shmuel, I'm Rav Meiri. There is such an opinion. We don't hold like him, but the Meir does hold that he holds that only a Levi, we'll see a Kohen also is included, is allowed to eat ma'aser, but the Yisrael is not allowed to eat ma'aser rishon. Titania, and we don't pass like this. So we can keep spilling with the halacha that ma'aser rishon is like chulin. It's just a mitzvah to give it to the Levi, but not that it has any kedusha. But the Meir holds, we'll see the drasha soon, that he holds that non-Levi is not allowed to eat ma'aser. You don't pass like it. Titania, top of the page. Truma leKohen, u'ma'aser rishon leLevi, divrei Meir. So far that sounds innocent. That Truma goes to the Kohen and ma'aser rishon goes to the Levi. That's innocent. Rashi in these words alone finds that a non-Levi is not allowed to eat ma'aser. It isn't so simple how Rashi sees that. Tosfos says the easy way out will be because there's here Gasin and Behedia. I'm sorry.
It would mean only.
Only what?
Only a Levi can eat.
Only right. And the question is, how do you see that? How do you see that? The fact that you have to give it, the words are very innocent. That it says the Truma goes to the Kohen. It doesn't say if he's allowed, who can eat it. And the ma'aser rishon goes to Levi. That's true. So Rashi does explain the pshat how to find in these words, but it's not so simple. But Tosfos says an easier way to learn the Gemara, that there's in the Gersa it should say ma'aser rishon also l'zara. So if that's what the Brisa says, so then it's easy how the Gemara found this proof. So that's the first line, that divrei Meir. So we know now that a Levi, that Meir holds that ma'aser rishon is also to a non-Levi. We continue. We got what we wanted already, but it says now in the Brisa of Elazar ben Azariah material Kohen. But Elazar ben Azariah says that a Kohen is allowed to eat ma'aser, and that the Gemara says that somebody hold that a Kohen is not allowed to eat ma'aser means the Gemara is going to say later that even Rav Meir that says that a Yisrael cannot eat Levi, cannot eat ma'aser, but he also holds that a Kohen is Moshe with Levi is not going to be worse. He also agrees that a Kohen could eat ma'aser. So there's nobody that prohibits it, that it should say Elazar ben Azariah matiro. It does, even if you say that Rav Meir said ma'aser rishon is usher to a zar, but that doesn't mean a Kohen. A Kohen is surely allowed to eat ma'aser. So what does it mean? Rav Elazar ben Azariah says that a Kohen is allowed to eat ma'aser. So somebody says you're not allowed to, because nobody else you're not allowed to. Elaima knows no after Kohen. That Rav Elazar ben Azariah is talking about who you give it to, not about who's the mutter to eat it, but who's the mitzvah to give it to. There's a mitzvah to give the truma to the Kohen, and it's a mitzvah to give the ma'aser to the Levi. Kohen's allowed to eat it also, but you don't give it to the Kohen. And Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says that you can give it to the Kohen. You have a choice, the Kohen or a Levi. And that's not our subject so much. Who you give it to, our issue is really what we're talking about is who's mutter to eat it. So we wanted to say Rav Meir holds that Yisrael is not allowed to eat ma'aser. And that's what we work in this Brisa. We got more information about a sugi later on, which is going to be today. Who do you give it to? Who do you give the ma'aser to? And so far it says you give it to the Levi. Elazar ben Azariah said you can give it to a Kohen also. And that's going to be discussed later on.
From this Brisa, maybe Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah would also hold that only a Levi or a Kohen
could be. It sounds like that.
There's no way to know.
After if you say no snaf,
Rabbi Meir, but it could have been him too.
That's true, but that's only if you say material Kohen. But if it says no snaf for Kohen, the way the Gemara fixes it up, so it just says about who's supposed to be given to. But you're saying that if it says you give it to a Kohen, obviously he could. No. If it just says you give it to him, it's not enough proof to say that who's allowed to eat it, because we're also going to say that the ma'aser goes to the Levi, but he's allowed to eat it also. The issue of who you give it to doesn't define who is allowed to eat it. It's like ma'aser only, you give it to the poor, but everyone's allowed to eat it. It's not, doesn't become kodesh. So the fact who you're allowed to give it to one.
The Brisa is over before that.
The Brisa is over here. The Bryce is over here.
So from the words of the Bryce,
But the Gemara changed,
if Rabbi Meir is saying that only a Levi can eat it,
Yes.
then Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah also may think that only a Levi can eat it.
I'm just saying that according to the way the Gemara fixes it up, that doesn't say material Kohen, it says no snaf to Kohen. So there are two subjects going on in the Bryce. One is where you give it to, and one who's allowed to eat it.
Right,
So
but it
if Rabbi
says
Elazar ben Azariah
Once
says
we're
that,
talking about giving it, then it has, then we
Then you
took it
don't-
out of the
then,
getter.
then you don't see if it's
Who
talking about who is allowed
I
to eat
see,
it.
I see, okay.
Yes,
Matir
Chaim.
means that he's a mutarlo, but it's not lechatchila for him. That's what it means.
Nasir means he's allowed to eat it. He's allowed to
Right,
eat it.
allowed to eat
And
it,
the Gemara
but it's not
changes that.
you give a portion it to you.
The Gemara changed that because everyone holds allowed to eat it. Nobody holds a coin's not allowed to eat Ma'aser. There might be an issue if Yisrael's allowed to eat it, but nobody holds a coin's not allowed to eat it. So that's why the Gemara changes it. But Elazar ben Azariah couldn't have meant that a coin's allowed to eat it because nobody argued. So the Gemara changes it that you give it to a coin. It means when you have Ma'aser Rishon, you want to give it to somebody. He says not only to a lady, you can give it to a coin also. Who eats it? So he said a second ago, the standard halacha is going to be that anybody could eat it. Ma'aser is not kodesh, but Meir said that Yisrael may not eat it. And maybe Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah agrees, could be, but that's not the subject when he talks about it. Okay, so what do we get so far? That Rabbi Meir holds that that Yisrael is not allowed to eat Ma'aser. And that's what our Mishnah says, that a Bas Yisrael coming into a family of a Levi, or a Levi that's coming into the family of a Yisrael, a Bas Levi coming into family, so she loses out on the Ma'aser. The same way that either that Erison, Mu'ubar, or Shemer Shavam makes the woman, either she's coming in or coming out, it loses her truma. She can't have truma. Post level machilos. So too, according to our mayor, that holds that a Yisraelis is not allowed, Israel is not allowed to eat Ma'aser. She's not the same issue coming out of the family of a Levi into a family of Israel, or coming from a family of Israel into the family of a Levi, till she's fully a Levi, or she's not allowed to eat Ma'aser either. So we just said that the mission is going according to our mayor. So now we open up the subject. My time of their mayor. Where's our mayor get that Israel is not allowed to eat Ma'aser? On Rabbah means the Torah doesn't say so. Torah, by Truma it says Kodesh and Kol Zer Lo Yochal Bo. But where does it say by Ma'aser that a non-Kohen is not, a non-Levi is not allowed to eat it? On Rabbah Chabed the Rabbi Mishmei the Gemara. Mishmei the Gemara. Rashi says means he had a Masorah. Rashi says means he had a Masorah from Rav Meir. Here's the Mishmei the Gemara. Chach Kibel Meirabo Adar Meir Sheshama Mishmo. He didn't just say it on his own to say Pshat Rav Meir. Mishmei the Gemara means he has such a Masorah that's Pshat Rav Meir. Where does the Meir get it from? From this pasuk. The pasuk says, "Ki es ma'asav b'nei Yisrael asher rimu l'Hashem truma." That's the pasuk. Because the ma'asar, the tithing of b'nei Yisrael that they lift up to Hashem as an uplifting, and here the pasuk shot the word truma doesn't mean truma, it means ma'aser. We just said, "Ki es ma'asav b'nei Yisrael," but it calls ma'aser truma. So that's a drash, room for a drash. In the pasuk shot everything's good, but there's room for a drash. And this nuance of calling ma'aser truma. So Meir learns out, ma truma asur l'zor, ma ma'aser rishon asur l'zor. This is a drash. Since the pasuk calls ma'aser truma, it has the same halacha as truma that it's also to a non-Levi over here. Ima
You know, I
truma.
was talking about my Rishon.
Yes. Ima truma chayavan olav misa v'chomish af ma'aser chayavan olav misa v'chomish. You might think that it's just as severe. That's just like truma. If a non-Kohen eats truma, so he's chayav misa b'dei shemayim, and if he's by mistake, he has to add on a fifth. So you might think that ma'aser also has that same severity. Once the pasuk compared it to truma, that not. That's another pasuk. That they will die if they're going to profane it. And it says more than so Allah. But that's the pasuk. It says there's more astonishing about truma. It has two miyutim over here, both by the din where it says that they would die if a non-Kohen eats it, truma, he's going to die. But it has the word bo. Let's make that. Highlight over there on the word bo, umesu bo kiyechalalu, and also it says v'yasav chamishi so Allah. So these two words, the Gemara is mentioning that it's only truma, not ma'aser. Even though we learned out that ma'aser is considered like truma as far as that only Shevet Levi is allowed to eat it, but don't think that it has all the lachas of truma. There are two miyutim. It says that if someone eats truma, that they're going to die. But bo, after that, so it says that ma'aser not. So there's no chiyuv misa b'dei shemayim if they do eat it if they do eat it. And the din chomish, if somebody ate it by mistake truma, so they have to add on a fifth, but only Allah, only by truma, but by ma'aser there's no such din. Bo below ma'aser, Allah below al ma'aser. So that's what Meir's drasha to say. No good. The last thing says that even though Rav Meir says that ma'aser has din of truma, as far as that it's usher to a non-Levi, but don't think that it's mamash like truma, that it's chayav misa b'dei shemayim, or that if he ate it by mistake, if non-Kohen, non-Levi, he's going to be chayav the fifth, which is like by truma. Those two din by truma. There is chayav misa, there's machpaz. There's misa and there's chomesh, the mem and the ches. So these two things don't apply to ma'aser. A special pasuk that after by Truma is these two halachas, Umesu Bo and Chamish is Seif Allah, it's talking about Truma, but by Ma'aser, these two halachas don't apply. So if a non-Levi would have eaten Ma'aser, it's not Chid Mitzvah B'dei Shemayim, even according to our mayor. And if he ate by mistake, a non-Levi ate Ma'aser, so there's not going to be a Chomesh either. The Gemara wants to know what does the Rabbanan do. That's going to parentheses now for a couple of lines. What do Rabbanan do? We have to argue on it, maybe they don't hold like that. But we don't hold like a mayor. We hold that there is no halacha that Ma'aser is only mutter to a Levi. So what do they do with this pasuk that says that Ma'aser is called Truma? This pasuk up here that Ma'aser is called Truma. What do they do with it? They don't hold it as halacha that it's usher to eat to a non-Levi. Rabbanan not Truma tovel, saf Ma'aser b'shanami tovel. A different halacha they learn out. They learn out just like before you take of Truma, it's tevel. That's the word tovelos. Tovelos doesn't mean mikvah. Tovelos means it makes tevel. It becomes tevel. That's something before you tithe it, it's tevel. So before you take off Truma, it's tevel. What if you took off Truma and you still didn't take off Ma'aser? Is it tevel? He says yes. Ma Truma tevel, saf Ma'aser b'shanami tovel. Just like Truma, before you take off Truma, it's tevel. So too, even if you took off Truma, but you don't take off Ma'aser, it's still tevel. And that we do hold of. We learned in
Tevelos just means non-Ma'aser.
Tevel. The word tevel, I don't know what the word tevel means. But the word tevel means non-tithe.
Non-tithe, yeah.
So, and it means it's, and if somebody is tevel, that is very severe. That tevel is called non-tithe. And it doesn't help that he took off Truma, it's still tevel until he takes off all the things he's supposed to take off. That's what the Gemara is going to say now. Look at the Tanya, Yossi Yomer is a long brisa to tell us that it's considered tevel until all the tithings are taken off. Yossi Yomer, you might think that it didn't tevel, it's only if it was not tied at all. But if he did Truma, maybe it's enough. Or Ma'aser Rishon below Ma'aser Sheni, or Afilu Ma'aser Ani. What if he was take off Truma, but he didn't take off Ma'aser Rishon? Or he took Truma and Ma'aser Rishon, but he didn't take off Ma'aser Sheni. Or he took Truma, Ma'aser Rishon, Ma'aser Sheni, but he didn't take Ma'aser Ani. Also that it's considered tevel. Till you take off all the tithings, it's considered tevel. Tamad Loma lo sucha is going to be tayed drash. Tamad Loma lo sucha lechol b'sherecha. It says here that you can't eat ma'asad g'anchati roshcha v'yitzarecha. You can't eat. The most is tayed drash now, but the simple pshat is saying that you can't eat it outside of Yerushalayim. But the ulhalanu omer v'achlu b'sherecha v'saveyim that give the things to the you're supposed to give to the poor and they'll eat it. What is that? Those three words, right? They'll become satisfied. Soba. The same word over there when it says it's talking about Ma'asirani, give the tithings to the poor that they should be able to eat. And so also the word that it says even though there the Pashas is talking about Ma'aser Sheni, that you're not allowed to eat out of Yerushalayim. But the word sharecha is going to be like Xer Shabbat to say that over there also is talking about Ma'aserani. But it's going to be a drash. It's not Pashup Shabbat. It's not saying you have to eat in Yerushalayim. So it means this is all obvious. You're right. The price goes till a sucha. Right. All that is. That's the end of the price.
That's the end of the price.
I think so. So it brought a drash to say that till Ma'aserani is tied, you're not allowed to eat the food. It means it's tevel until even the Ma'aserani is taken away. It doesn't fit into the simple chant running with the pasuk. But the more saying lo sucha, that until you take out sherecha, until you take out the Ma'aserani, the sherecha is going to be a code word to Ma'aserani. Until you take off the Ma'aserani, it's considered tevel and you can't eat it. But not can't eat it in Yerushalayim, only in Yerushalayim. You can't eat it at all. So there's a drash over here. Not in the pshat level at all, but on the drash level, it says a drash that it's tevel until you took off even Ma'aserani. So
how does that help us?
That's what we said. That's what we said over here. The Drash should tell you that Ma'aser is called Truma. This pasuk up here, yes, Ma'aser b'nei Yisrael, Hashem will Hashem Truma. That Ma'aser is called Truma. To tell you,
learn out that you have to.
You take it, yeah, right.
Okay.
And not more. Imei Hasam, there are two gersos over here. Imei Hasam have Amein Alalav, Aval Misalo, Kamash Malan. That's the first gersa. Then right away has another gersa for the same idea, just a little different wording over here. It says here, the Imei Hasam, if you only would have had that pasuk, you would have thought that it's Allah, but not that it's Misa B'dei Shemayim if he eats tevel. It means this tevel that he lo sucha lechol. You can't eat it until it's all tied. But that doesn't say that's Chayav Misa B'dei Shemayim. But our pasuk that says Misa is like Truma tells us that it's also Chayav Misa B'dei Shemayim if he eats it before it's completely tied. Then there's another girsa. The rest of it here from Lishna Achmina is another girsa. When the Gemara says Lishna Achmina, that's the interesting thing. Lishna Achmina is not Igad Amri. Lishna Achmina means the printer's putting in. The printer's putting in that there's another girsa that I found, and he doesn't know which one the price. So he won't both of them. It's not like Igad Amri. Igad Amri means when the Gemara tells you two versions. Some say this, some say that. But Lishna Achmina is just a different version, like it says on the side, or something like that. It's not a question of the Gemara telling you to.
So you can really decide which one's right.
Yeah, it's two gersos in the printer. The printer had two gersos. You wrote both of them. I think it's important you did have sometimes the Mefarshim have the difference between the two Igadamis. That's good, but the difference between the two Lishna Achminas is not. It's just two different printings. So Lishna Achmina says the same thing over again.
Sorry, who's the printer? Is it Rabino or Rashi?
No, the printer is Vilna. Like I'm saying, Ram, Achimram, or Salavita, whatever. Like you look at all Gersos, you have all kinds of different printings over or Sikistra Yav, but it's not that the Gemara is telling you to. Right, it's not that the Gemara is telling you to. It's that the Gemara says something, and there were two versions that came down. I'm just saying came over again. It's an interesting one.
The body of the text.
It could have been on the side. It could have been on the side. It could have been on the side. They had two Gersos over here. But they both say the same thing. Lishna Achmina, Ma'aseh Rishon, the Tavel Midrab Yossi Nafka. Here it says it as a question and answer. That this halacha that Ma'aseh Rishon, if you don't take off, so it's considered Tavel. So you have the Rosh Hashanah Yossi already, which is the same question we just said. That what do you have to have two psukim for? So it says it in the question and answer form. The answer is which is what we just said. He must have these words. Just like in the Kasha Teretz, that if what do you have to have two psukim for? That once he told us the drasha, he said it so nicely from this verse of Rabbi Yossi, he has his own drasha about l'sucha lechol b'sherecha. Why do you need the pasuk over here of Kias Maser is called Truma? So to tell you that it's even Misa B'dei Shemayim, not only is it Allah. What we get so far? We get back to the Mishnah. We found out that Meir's non-Mishnah is talking about that only Shevet Levi is allowed to eat Meiser, which we don't hold like. The Gemara brought the pasuk where he gets it from, because Meiser is called Truma, and the Gemara also helped us to know what Rabbanan are going to do with that pasuk, and they hold that's coming to tell you. That's what we hold, that it's coming to tell you just that it's considered tevel until you take off all the titles. Here it says Truma, Meiser Rishon, Meiser Sheni, Meiser Rani. Until you take off all these things, it's considered tevel. Happens to be the Rambam says there's no Misa B'dei Shemayim on if you don't take off Meiser Rani. It means of course the Meiser Rani, if the Meiser Rani is chulin, Meiser Rishon, you also hold the chulin. But if you left the tevel, it's tevel. And our Gemara seems to say that's even Misa B'dei Shemayim if you eat tevel before the Meiser Rani was tied. That the Rambam says not, that it's not considered tevel. And the question is how he learns the Gemara over here. But in the halacha it says that if someone did not take off Meiser Rani, even though he has to, but it's considered tevel, but it's not tevel, that's Misa B'dei Shemayim. A little different than our Gemara seems to say. There's also talks about it. Okay, that's the end of that.
It's not Tevel Shemayim, but it's
Right. Tosha says that also. Tosha over here, this Tosha was Imei Hasam. Yeshlomo the Shema Ein Bo Misa. That seems to be the same as the Rambam. And here, there's an olive over there that it's this Agos of Yecheskel Landa. He brings a Medrash Sheikha that says that it is Chayiv Misa. The Furish also Yudim only the Furish Chayiv Misa. So, okay, it's a question if somebody took off Truma, Meiser Rishon, Meiser Sheni, but he didn't take off Meiser Rani on the years that there's Meiser Rani. So is it considered tevel that's Chayiv Misa B'dei Shemayim? Our Gemara seems to say yes. The Medrash says, Beferish says, Tosha and the Rambam have a problem, and they say maybe not. But we'll leave it at that. Of course, you're supposed to take off Meiser Rani also. So we got till the end of the parentheses. I lost it. Here it is. Okay, so yeah, my Kimta. So we have our Mishnah. We have a nice shot. My parents, that's that's for the reading. Sometimes it helps to put things in perspective. Okay, so we're continuing the Gemara that we found that our Mishnah was like a mayor that Bas Yisrael is not allowed to eat Meiser. So if she's on the way in, she didn't get in enough. She's just Mureses or Muberes or Shemes Yavam. It's not enough that she's in the family yet to be able to eat Meiser. And if she's a Bas Levi going out, she's now Mureses, Muberes or Shemes Yavam to Yisrael. So she lost that. She lost, and she can't eat Meiser anymore because our Mishnah is like a mayor that only Levi could eat Meiser. The Mai came to Rav Meir. So who did you explain the Mishnah? Like Rav Meir. But that's good for the Mishnah, but it's not good for the last case. Well, this case has to do with the Bas Levi and the Kohen. First it was the Yisrael Kohen, then it was Yisrael Levi, and then it was Levi Kohen. That's our Mishnah. So the Gemara says, especially even going to Meir, Kohanim will also shave with Levi. So that's not going to work. When it says in the Mishnah that when she's going, that this Levi going into a Kohen or a Kohen going into a family of Levi, they lose Meiser, that doesn't help. The Pshat we said doesn't help because even a Meir just says Yisrael are not allowed to eat, but shave with Levi is allowed to, and Kohanim will also shave with Levi. So that end of the Mishnah doesn't make sense to him. It says in the Mishnah, Bas Levi Mereshus the Kohen, the Bas Kohen Levi.
Sorry, can't you say that because the Kohanim have a mitzvah of Truma, you have to give Truma to them, so they're shaykh to Truma and they shaykh to Levi. They're trying to Meiser. You know,
we're talking about if it's who's motivated. We're not talking about who you give it to yet. We're talking about who is motivated. So even though it may have this Russia that Meiser is like Truma, that doesn't say that a Kohen can't eat it. It just says that Meiser is like Truma, that is also to a non. And Levi surely is Meiser, that the pasuk says openly. And we're going to say that not Israelim, but they say not Kohen, there's no source for that. So that's why the Gemara said on the top line, material of Kohen, second line, material of Kohen, and nobody holds that as Asa. Means the Gemara didn't even think for a second that Rameh will say that a Kohen cannot eat Meiser. So that's what the Gemara is a problem over here. Even if you say that Yisrael cannot eat Meiser, but you're not going to say that a Kohen cannot eat Meiser. So at the end of the Mishnah, we spoke about a Levi Kohen, two families, Kohen Levi, either the woman from Levi is going to Kohen or the Bas Kohen is coming to become a Levi. So there says she loses out on the Meiser also. How could that be? There's no foreigner over here because the Kohen also is allowed to eat Meiser, even according to our mayor. So that's the new problem. That problem is still here. The ratio we figured out, but the Sefer we don't have a pshat yet. So now the Gemara is going to explain the Sefer. So we'll learn like Taisus. Taisus says that this terrace is like not. He still agrees to the first terrace. As far as the beginning of the Mishnah, we still go to our mayor and we're talking about that the non-Kohen, non-Levi is not allowed to eat Meiser. But as far as the end of the Mishnah, it's coming to say something else. When it says in the end of the Mishnah that she cannot eat Meiser, it doesn't mean she can't eat Meiser. Of course she can eat Meiser. Either she's a Levi family or she's a Kohen family. And either one can eat Meiser. But the issue is, until she's completely in the Levi family, so she's not the Balabas to be able to take off Truma. What does that mean? Rashi says, that who's the owner of something to be able to tithe it? It has to be yours to tithe. You can't tithe somebody else's thing. You have to tithe your own. So who's considered the owner? So usually the Gemara is going to say that when somebody's married, when she's in the family already, so then she has she's authorized to be able to tithe also. Just like the husband, she's now part of the family, she also can tithe. But if she's not, she's only Erisin before Nisuin, she's not authorized to be able to tithe her husband's belongings. So here, if her betrothed, not yet married, but only a Orus, so he has Meiser, so she is not authorized to be able to take off Trumas Meiser from it because it's not hers. You can't take somebody else's Meiser, just like when Yisrael, you can't take off somebody's Meiser from his Trumas and Meiser from somebody else's food. So too, you can't take off Trumas Meiser from a Levi's Meiser only if you are married to him, and she's not yet married. That's the point of the mission. It's not talking about if she could eat it. She surely could eat it. But she's not part of the family yet to be able to tithe the Meiser that has to be have Trumas Meiser. He's supposed to take a tenth of the tenth. That's what it means. It's not coming to talk. The Sefer is not talking about Kohen Levi family. It's not talking about mutter to eat. Surely she's allowed to eat because she's the Kohen or Levi. That's fine. But she's not considered a wife that she's yet allowed to tithe the Meiser because she's not yet fully married. So whatever it is, she's like a stranger. You're not allowed to, for whatever reason, you're not allowed to. But same way, you're not allowed to tithe somebody else's things. So she's considered an outsider still. But the Mechlal the Nesuanos, and this was just that means once she is married, she would be able to. She's authorized to be able to tithe it, give permission to somebody. She's the Balabas. Yes, she is in Vatanya. Vatanya means not the kasha. Vatanya means, as we have learned, you can eat it in any place, you and your family. That once she's married, even if once she's married, so now she's authorized to be able to be Torah or to give somebody permission to do it herself or to tell somebody else to do it. Amit Atomer Rishus Litro Ma'ina Elo Lecho doesn't mean this point we're saying, or maybe it means that she's allowed to eat. Amit Truma Chamura Achelas Meiser Akala Kolshkein. If she's allowed to eat Truma, then she's totally allowed to eat Meiser. So that you wouldn't need the person to say that she's allowed to eat Meiser. At the limit on the surah, but she's that's what he's coming to say, that she's authorized to take off Trumas and Meisers, whatever. Once she's married, she's allowed to. So it's again to a wife of a Kohen of Yisrael also. The wife of Yisrael, once she's married, so then she's authorized to take off Meisers from her husband's food, husband's produce. So that's the first shot to answer the Sefer. The Sefer, again, the Reish was about Yisrael, first about Yisrael with a Kohen and Yisrael family Yisrael, family Kohen. So over there, it was good that no Truma, that's okay. Then it talked about family Yisrael and a family Levi getting married. That we said it goes according to Rav Meir that the Levi, only a Levi could eat Truma, Meiser, but Yisrael cannot. That also went well. But the last case spoke about a Levi family and a Kohen family getting together. There's no problem about eating Meiser because everybody could eat Meiser, the Kohen and the Levi. The issue is that she's considered married enough to be authorized to be mafresh the Meiser, Trumas Meiser from the Meiser that her husband has, and then it says only if she's married fully, but not if she's only on the way in. That's one teretz to explain the last case. Another teretz. That a woman is not, even though she's eligible to get Meiser and Truma, whatever she's family she's part of, but she's not going to be given a portion by the silo. It means
She can't go there.
She can't go there to get a yeah. She doesn't get right. She doesn't get a portion, and that's the question. Why not? The Gemara is going to talk about why not. Why can't she not? Why can a woman not
She
get?
can eat it once it's in the house.
Right. There's a special halacha. Who do you give it to? You do a portion, give portions. You give it out to the Levium, to the Kohanim, so that she allowed to get it, a portion. So it says here that a woman does not. So Rashi brings down that it's not done for this case. The most right way going to say it's talking about Nesua also. Here's Rashi. It's going to say so even a married woman also. She's not going to get mice. If she goes to the silo, if all the men are coming, so she also comes and says, I'm also a Levi. So no, she doesn't get. Only she comes with her husband. And the Gemara says, why not? So there are two reasons that says. Later on, it says here on the side that it's going to be daf kuf. Over there's going to be the main sugya. When it talks about truma, and here talking about by Meiser, or there talks about Meiser. Maybe I'm not sure. That's going to be the main sugya. And the machlok is over there. Why does a woman not get a portion given out by the silo? Some say the reason why is because yichud, that a woman shouldn't go over there because it might end up that she's going to be in seclusion with a man, like it says over here. So that makes sense over here also, that is, it should apply.
You see by Ruth that she went to she's nani, right?
She was taking.
What's it called? She wasn't at the threshing floor.
She wasn't getting Meiser Rishon. She wasn't getting a Meiser. She was going in the field. And the field is not, it's not yichud. But to go to the Goren. Yeah, but it's not clean. We're talking about Meiser. But Meiser is not clean. Meiser is that he has a silo and he gives. He's not taking it from the field. It's in his silo, and now he's giving it out. So don't go to the silo because we don't want it to be in seclusion with a man. Maybe no other aniyim came, and she came alone, and the balabais is there. It's not good that he should be.
By an aniyah who goes to the field.
There's no yichud over there. She's in the field. There's not yichud.
Okay.
So that's one reason. I think one says that reason I want to apply here also. There's another reason. And it says the reason why you don't give her is because if she ever comes divorced, and she's used to getting by the silo, so the people are going to think that she's eligible to get, and she wouldn't be eligible in this case because she's already divorced. If it will be a Bas Yisrael married to a Kohen. Is that what it's saying over here?
Do we read the parentheses?
The parentheses, yes. Rashi says to read the parentheses, not to read the side here. So to read the parentheses, Rashi says. Rashi says we're talking about Truma over there, and it says a Bas Yisrael married to a Kohen should not get a portion in the silo because people will think she'll get a name for herself that she's a Koheness, and she'll come again, and she might get divorced, and she'll still be coming. I don't understand how she's going to be doing that. She knows that she's not allowed to get, but maybe she'll sell it to Kohanim. But we don't want her to be able to get a ticket as if she's eligible, and she'll be able to get even after she's divorced. So even when she's married, we don't let her go by herself. Because if she'll be divorced, she wouldn't be able to come by, and because she wouldn't be eligible to Truma anymore. But the Gemara is asking over here, we're talking about the Bas Levi. So what's the problem if there's Levi and a Kohen? Is there any problem? Musha Bas Levi Mila Ochla B'Maisa. If she's a Bas Levi and now she's getting married to a Kohen, so is there any problem? Even if she would be divorced, she'd be able to get Maisa. So there's no reason to make a chash that she shouldn't be able to get it in the basic Gronos. But if she's a Bas Yisrael getting Truma because she's married to a Kohen, then we can understand that there's a Gzera that if she'd be divorced, she'd be still becoming, and then she's not eligible anymore. But if it's a Bas Levi married to a Kohen, so even if she's going to be divorced and she wants to get Maisa, she's allowed to. She's allowed to get Maisa as a Levi or as a Kohen. So what's the problem? But the Gemara says you're not right, because what would be the halacha of a Bas Kohen married to a Kohen?
I thought about going to a Yisrael.
No, then she's not. Then she's not going.
She's Gerusha, now she goes back to her father's house.
That's good. She is eligible. But when
That's
she's
what they're asking.
no,
What,
it's
she's
going
not
another
allowed
way.
to-
There's a case where we say that she's married, she shouldn't take because she might become divorced. What's the case where right now she's
She might
married?
become divorced.
But right now, no, we're saying that she's married, but don't take because if you'd be divorced, you wouldn't be allowed to take.
Oh,
So the question is, so the Gemara is asking over here, she's a Bas Levi married to a Kohen. Any problem? Even if she gets divorced, she'll be a Bas Levi still. She's not
and
getting
Bas
Maisa.
Cohen to a
And the Gemara is, how about a Bas Kohen to Kohen to get Truma? It's also the same thing.
Uh-huh.
We should allow. Will we allow a Bas Kohen married to a Kohen to get Truma? No, well, it's also not. Why? Ella Gzera, what?
Same din, no? It's a similar din, that she might divorce him and they'll be.
But that's what we're asking. That a Bas Kohen, she's a Bas Kohen also. A Bas Kohen married to a Kohen. What if she gets divorced? She's also allowed to eat Truma. And you're going to say you're going to give her by the side law? You don't give her. Why not? Because we're not going to give a Bas Kohen married to a Kohen because a Bas Yisrael married to a Kohen Gzera. If you're going to give Bas Kohen married to a Kohen, we're going to give also Bas Yisrael married to a Kohen. So we made a Gzera that we don't give to women. Then the kasha is a big kasha. It's nothing to do with Erison. The Mishnah talks about if it's only the Erison stage, the Mubera stage, the Yishmael Shevam stage. This is not, even if she'd be married Mamish, the women don't get in the silo. Why does it say Dafka Arusa? And the Su also doesn't get. The answer is you're right. I did the Tana Reisha Mureses, Tana Nami Sefer Mureses. It's only because of the Reisha. In the Reisha case, we talked about Truma and Meiser, that Taka did is a problem by once she's in the sewer, she does get. But she's mutatid. But as an Arusa, she cannot get. Over there, we talked about Dafka Arusa. In the Sefer, we're talking about that she does get, but the only problem is you don't give her a chiluk. It's true, even in the sewer does not get. It's a bit of a dochak in the Mishnah to say that's what I was talking about, but that's the second terror. It's two pshatim in the explain the Mishnah when it says the case of the Kohen and the Levi Kohen family is getting together. So either it means that she's only considered a balabayis, balas abayis, when she's on the sewer, but in the stage of Eresin she's not. And the other pshat is what the Gemara is saying, that it's talking about even in the sewer, and she's not allowed to get her own portion. When she goes to the side, she doesn't get. You tell her, come with your husband, either send your husband or come together with him. If you come by yourself, we're not going to give you, because in some cases, it's not going to, the woman changes her status. So we don't want to give her when she's married because she might continue even after she's divorced.
Ashes Cohen, whose father is a Cohen, when she has children, can she still go back? And if husband dies, can she still go back to the father's house?
She doesn't have to. She has children. She has a son who's a Cohen.
Oh,
If she has a husband who's a Cohen or a child who's a Cohen,
daughters?
also, Zera Ainla, not only sons, daughters also are enough. Okay, up to 3 lines for
daughters
the
are
wife.
enough for the wife.
For kind of set aside point about Bas Yisrael married to a Kohen, and she has children, daughters, and the husband died. Is the
And
daughters?
the daughters are enough.
The daughters are
to
enough that
allow
she should be able to eat.
Yeah.
Only she has no children at all. So, but if she has children, even daughters, also she can eat children. Now the Gemara goes on to a new subject. This whole subject on Amar Aleph was about who's allowed to eat Maisa. And we spoke about, we hold that anyone's allowed to eat Maisa. And Rav Meir holds only Shevet Levi, only Shevet Levi. And we don't pass like Rav Meir. And now the rest of the sugi is going to talk about who do we give it to? Who do we give it to?
Mhm.
So what would you say? Truma goes to the Kohen, and Maisa goes to the Levi. That's how it starts. Start Rabbanan Truma the Kohen, and Maisa reaches the Levi. They drop a kibbutz.
And maybe the question is the lady who's not thorough in his mitzvahs, or you don't like him, all those things.
Not following.
If it happens to be the lady is a nasty person.
So find a Levi that you like.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that maybe that's what the Gemara wants to talk about.
No.
Well, also Ben Azariah is
Is it
this
we
goes like
talking
what
about
you're
a
saying. Oh, Lakoan means,
Truma you give to the Kohen.
is this the end when, if we add the word Lakoan, that's the end of the brisa?
No,
The brisa can continue.
the rest we have to turn the page. Truma the Kohen, or Maisa reaches the Levi. They drop a kibbutz. But Elazar Azariah Omer the Kohen. That's under the brisa. But the Gemara right away says doesn't make sense.
That's the end of the
That's under the brisa. The first one on the last page. But the Gemara has to edit it. It's not finished. The Kohen below the Levi. Does that mean that he says that Ma'aser
We
Rishon
have to give it to the Kohen.
goes
Not
after to the
the
Kohen? That can't be. Ema after Kohen. So if we take now after the edited version, so everyone holds Truma goes to the Kohen. That's not an issue. Truma give to the Kohen. We're not talking about who's allowed to eat it. We also have to know that only a Kohen can eat Truma, but that's not our subject. Who do you give it to? Truma goes to the Kohen. Who do you give Ma'aser Rishon to? Rabbi Kiva says to the Levi, not to the Kohen. Is the Kohen allowed to eat it? Yes, Kohen's allowed to eat it. Even according to our mayor. Or according to us, everyone's allowed to eat it. But who's it go to? Give it to the Levi. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says, also to the Kohen. You can give Ma'aser Rishon to the Levi or to the Kohen. Are you happy with that?
Well, the Kohen is a lady, isn't he?
But is he eligible to get Ma'aser? The pasuk says give Ma'aser to the Levi. Give Truma to the Kohen. Give Ma'aser to the Levi. So it's a big chiddush that Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says you can give Ma'aser Rishon to the Kohen. You're a Levi, right?
Yeah.
So here it says you can give Ma'aser Rishon to the Kohen. So
So
you
if
should.
Yaakov Kohen gets it, I'll be all upset.
You're gonna get uptight. What's going on?
You say you get Truma, you get all kinds of
It's not enough that he gets
24
Truma,
minus
he gets-
Karuna.
You get this.
Why are you getting the
that.
money? The
24
Ma'aser is something. One thing for the Levi is Ma'aser
Collective,
Rishon.
I guess it should be nice.
That's a question. That's a question over here. That's machlokes. May the Yisrael give his Ma'aser to a Kohen? That's machlokes. So again, the first Amr was talking about who's allowed to eat it, who's wanted to eat it. We'll finish that subject. Now we're talking about who to give it to. So Kiva says Levi, Ma'aser goes only to the Levi. If he
El
wants,
Levim, that's the end of what they're called the person. El Levim.
oh, I didn't say that yet. And Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says that you can give Ma'aser also to Kohen. The Gemara Gemara says, "My time with Rabbi Kiva, top line. My time with Rabbi Kiva. Where does he get it from?" Tichsid, ve'el alevim tadaber v'amata alayhem. Period.
I don't understand the last period.
That's what the pasuk says. The pasuk goes on, but we don't need it more. We don't need that.
All those words are in part of the puzzle.
Ve'el alevim tadaber v'amata alayhem. And it goes on. It says that you have to give Trumas Ma'aser. When you get Ma'aser, you should give over a tenth of that. But the pasuk talks about Ma'aser. It talks about the Levim. So the Levim come shtoikro. The pasuk is talking about Levim. So Rabbi Kiva says, of course, it says give Ma'aser to the Levi. Why give it to the Kohen for? Can't give it to the Kohen. Give it to the Levi. The Idach. What does Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah do with that pasuk? There are 24 places in the Tanakh where we see that the Kohanim are called Levim. So even though it says Levi, it includes Kohanim also. Because Kohanim also shaped with Levi. And he brings a place. One place he brings over here. One of them is Kohanim Alevim B'nei Tzadok. B'nei Tzadok is Kohanim, and it calls them the Kohanim of Shevet Levi. So here you have it. That the Kohanim also called Levim. It's true, they are from Shevet Levi. But it's still Chiddush that it calls them Levi. And Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says that this person that it says about Levim to Daber, B'martar Lehem, Tikis Echum Meis B'nei Yisrael as a Maaser. So it's talking about Kohanim also. Kohanim also Shevet Levi. So you can give them also Maaser. But Rabbi Kiva says, no, you can't say that the Levim over here includes Kohanim. You have to give it Dafka to Levi. It says that you could eat it in any place. In other words, the pasuk is saying it's not kodesh, the mice is not kodesh. You can eat wherever you want. But if it says b'chol makom, mishach alachlu b'chol makom. Yatzakoin shen yach alachlu b'besak forest. He's making a drash. That's not the pasuk pshat. Pasuk means you can eat any place, not Dafka in Yerushalayim. But he's saying that you could eat it any place, even in a cemetery. Could a Kohen eat it in a cemetery? Kohen can't go to the cemetery. So since it says b'chol makom, it means Dafka Levi, who has no issue of going into a cemetery. So according to Rabbi Kiva, Dafka Levi, the Idach, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says that's not coming to tell you that. So how's he going to dash in b'chol makom? Chalecha the boy means the low boy choma. All it means is that any place you want, it doesn't have to be Dafka Yerushalayim. It doesn't have to be within the wall. It can be outside, but not that it's coming to say you have to be able to eat in the cemetery. For him, he doesn't dash from this drasha. So
The boy
wherever you want,
wherever you want.
B'chol makom means wherever you want. Means just means to say not in the cemetery. It means to say the low boy choma. Chalecha the boy could be like in quotations.
What's the boy chama?
Doesn't need a wall. It doesn't need the wall of Yerushalayim. It doesn't have to be in the wall of like Ma'aser Sheni has to be up in Yerushalayim, and Ma'aser Rishon doesn't have to. But it's not coming to tell you this fancy drasha that has to be edible even in the cemetery. So he holds that it could be given to a Kohen also. Another thing, also the pasuk is coming to say that there's no malchus if he eats it when he's tamei. These are the ways that are saying that there's no limitation of Yerushalayim, there's no limitation if you're tamei, but it's not coming to say that you have to be able to eat it in any place, even in the cemetery. So you have machlokus. Rabbi Kiva says you give Ma'aser to the Levi only. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says you give it to the Kohen if you want to. Now the Gemara says a story. He Ginsa, they have a shackle of Elazar ben Azariah, Ma'aseh Rishon. Elazar ben Azariah was a Kohen. He himself was a Kohen. And there was a gina, there was a garden that he used to get Ma'aseh Rishon from there. He's the owner of that garden, would give Elazar ben Azariah Ma'aseh Rishon because he's a Levi. He's a Kohen, but he's a Kohen. But this owner of the garden held like Elazar ben Azariah that you're allowed to give Ma'aseh to the Kohen also, and he used to give to the Kohen. Shackle Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah Ma'aseh Rishon Minei. Rabbi Elazar used to get Ma'aseh Rishon from there. Also, Rabbi Kiva Ahadre lePischa leBei Kivri. Rabbi Kiva, he wanted to stop him from getting the Ma'aseh Rishon, so he closed the door off that it should have to go through a cemetery to get there. So Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah won't be able to get there, or even if they would take it out, if they take it out, it would become
another way to teach him a halacha without,
No, he was not teaching him; he was enforcing it. Because Rabbi Kiva holds. Some say that it was Rabbi Kiva's own garden, because or else he wouldn't be able to do these kind of things. He can't go to somebody else's fence and make a door here and close the door here. But whatever the story was, he orchestrated it that Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah shouldn't be able to go there in order to get Ma'aseh Rishon. So he had to go through a cemetery, and he's a Kohen. He wouldn't be able to. So he stopped him because Rabbi Kiva holds that it doesn't go to the Kohen; it only goes to the Levi. Amar, so Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah said, I don't know how to read this. This is a question, but the 4 words. He said 4 words. Akiva b'tarmilo. I don't know even the niggin how to read it. I don't know the right tune. I thought it means Akiva b'tarmilo v'anoch. That's how I read it. That Akiva with his tarmil. Tarmil is like a sack, a bag. And I'm going to live means he's taking away my parnasa. That he comes with his bag. Rashi points out that there used to be a rower, so he had a tarmil, he had a kind of a bag, and I'm going to be able to mean to take my bag parnasa. They point out.
In the bag of halachas.
Okay, it is a little bit. You can speculate here. Whatever you want to say is acceptable.
You know that Rabbi Kiva walks around with his candle and his book and his his feather that he wrote. The rooster story.
He had a rooster, and what else did he have? He had a chamor and a rooster and a lamb.
I'm sure he had a book to learn from.
Yeah, he did both.
He didn't need a book. He was the book.
But anyway, what's trying over here? So they point out Elazar ben Azariah was very, very, very rich. So to say that he needed the Meiser in order to be able to live, not such a nice shame. So maybe I think we're sarcastic. He's coming to say like he's going to go find Parnasa. Of course, he was a billionaire. Right. But the other pshatim that say that I'm going to live anyway, I'll be able to make it even without the Meiser Rishon, or other pshatim that are here. I'm not so sure what it means. Some point out that maybe he's saying he's calling him with his time like a poor man. He used to be a shepherd, derogatory. I don't think so. This is something that's probably sarcastic, a joke of some sort. That's some unfortunate say like that. It's not just saying a word. He's coming to say like he's stopping me from taking my mice. I have a right to get the mice, and he's stopping me. But he said it in no so the bedichos kind of thing. Itmar. He was made the Nasi temporarily after Gamliel was ousted until they were both put in. Over there it says that he would have I forgot how many I used to the Misa, even the Misa of him each year was how much 10,000. So I forgot. He was filthy rich. It was like he was a billionaire. So Masa Medre, I forgot. The Misa of him alone was like a huge number, maybe 10,000. That means that he had times 10 animals born each year. He was very rich. So it is interesting that they gave him Meiser Rishon anyway. He might be very rich, but he's a Levi, and he's a Kohen, a Levi, whatever. And if you hold, okay, so Kiva said that only goes to the Levi. Elazar ben Azariah said it goes to the Kohen also. What did I just say? Kiva says after to the Levi. Elazar ben Azariah says it can be given to a Kohen also.
Maybe to give to tzedakah.
He has enough stuff to give, like leave it for the Levian, leave it for the Kohen. But no, you're allowed to. He's allowed to. If the person wanted to give, he's not a big. He's to give.
Is that a person on his own advantage?
Yes. No, I mean, a Rav's allowed to paskin in his own kitchen. It's my focus over here. If he's eligible to get Meiser, yes, and he holds that he's allowed to, so he did. The next Gemara is a change of. I put 2 dots to make a point, but. It has to be made emphasized that the next Gemara is not the subject we had spoken about till now. This subject at the top of the page was who's eligible from the Torah to get Meiser. That according to Akiva Dafka Levi, according to Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, even Kohanim. New subject. Even if it was given to Levium, in history it happened in Knas. They happened a penalty against the Levium, and that's what the Gemara is discussing now.
There's a penalty against the Levine.
Not to get Meiser, or not to only get, not only they can get Meiser. There was a
There's
penalty
Knas that
against
not
them.
only that exclusively they should.
That's a question exactly what, but not anymore does Meiser go to the Levi or exclusively. Let's see, we'll see what it says. I'm not sure if it's going to be the whole thing, but there was a Knas against the Levi. We don't talk about that till now. On the first page, we spoke about who's Ladik Meiser. On number base, the first half, we spoke about who does the Torah give Meiser to. And now we're talking about that the Knas happened in history against the Levi. It says here in Rashi, Rashi points this out. Where's the Rashi? It's not going back and before. The time of Dachal Abishim Knasa. Till now we're just talking about the who's eligible to get the Meiser from a Torah's standpoint. But now Rashi says the Gemara is going on what it says in many places. It says that there's a Knas. Ezra made a Knas against the Levium about concerning Meiser. And that's what the Gemara will talk about now. He brings here in Maseches Sota. So that's going to be the subject over here. Why did they make a Knas against the Levium? Where am I? Here it is. Yeah. Itnam. Epnei ma kansul la Levium. Levium b'Meiser. Think about Rabbi Yonasan v'Savaya. Savaya means this Canaan that Yonasan and the elders they had a machlokas. Hadam Mashallah all the way Ezra because they didn't come up after Felus Bavel and Ezra, the Elias Ezra. So the Levium didn't come up because they didn't come back from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael. Ezra made a Knas about the Meiser.
They weren't allowed to receive Meiser.
So then they were not given Meiser. Or some say, I don't see the Gemara we are talking about it, but there's a machlokes someplace I don't recall that some say that you don't give it to the Levi, or some say that you can give it also to others, not only to the Levi. I didn't see that the Gemara talking about it over here, but there was some Knas concerning the Meiser. So why did they get a Knas? So here it says one reason is because they didn't come back to Eretz Yisrael in the days of Ezra.
Mhm.
I think Gemara is going to bring that down later.
We remember that from when we left.
Everyone
So
remembers.
And then the Gemara is going to bring it down. And then that's okay. We know the psukim that they didn't come.
But this would have been a temporary canals.
So that's the question. Maybe now that the Levium came back to Israel, maybe they can get it back again. So here the Gemara doesn't say. Have to look for it more.
Excuse me, the Trumas and Meisers are only like the Eretz Yisrael, right?
At least with the Raisa.
The rice, right? Okay, so the Levium that did not return to Eretz Yisrael, the Ezra, they weren't getting Meiser.
They wouldn't get it anyway.
Oh, so that's a nice question. So how come you make a class against the Levium?
Right.
The ones who stayed back, they're not getting it anyway.
Right.
And the ones that come, they're the good ones.
They're the good
So why
ones.
should they not get? Nice question.
No, I mean, crack.
Oh, nice question.
Okay.
Like, how about you answer?
It's not only it's a nice question. Why? It's like some of the kids in the class they went out of class, they ran away and they went to the park,
Right.
and then the class on the kids who stayed.
Right.
They didn't have
Good
it.
boy.
So,
If they would come to visit
Good boy.
and they would come for a few
Okay.
weeks, you can't eat mice.
they don't get Meiser. It doesn't say they can't eat Meiser. They don't get Meiser.
They don't get
We're not
Meiser.
talking about who's mutter to eat it.
But if
Then we
they,
pass,
they come
everybody
and
gets
they
it.
decide.
They don't get the present. They don't get it.
Given it.
Not give
The
it.
day they decide they're going to live here, then it's reinstated. But all the time they come.
No. It doesn't say that.
Absolutely.
Okay, I don't know if it's true.
No, I'm giving it a chance. I'm giving it a try.
That maybe if they come, then they're gonna get. I don't know.
If they come for
There is talk about it that it only was in that generation. Maybe there is
I'm here permanently in case you have any nice reasons.
permanent
You're
resident.
good. You're good.
I think that it's spoken about. I didn't look into it now. So there is talk about it in the Rishon, but I don't see the Gemara talking about it. The first reason it says is because it didn't come in Ezra. That's why it's a knas against them concerning the mice. Another one says that the Kohanim they wanted to give them. They should get the Meiser because when they're Tamei, they can't eat the Truma. If the Kohanim are only getting Truma and Kachim, so that's good when they're Torah. But when they're Tamei, what are they going to eat? So because of that, we made a Knas on the Levium in order that the Kohanim should get Meiser. But the Gemara says right away that's not fair to the
I'm
Levium.
sorry, I didn't get it. Yismachu.
In order that the Kohanim, when they're Tamei, should be able to rely on the Meiser that they're going to get. The Kohanim have a problem. They get a lot of presents, but only when they're Torah does it help them. The Kachim and the Truma, when they're Torah, when they're tummy, what are they going to eat? So in order to help them out, Meiser now that they're going to get, we'll take it away from the Levi
This is
and give it to the Kohen. There's a reason why they made a class on the Levium in order that the Kohen should get it. Is that fair? I ask a Levi. That's not fair. So
just because they're tummy, let go to the mikveh.
or if not, so come, I'll give you it stucker. You know what does that have to do with why
What does
take
that do
away?
with my portion?
Why? That's more discussion.
Well-
If they didn't come to Israel, that's a reason to get a knas. Because the Kohanim need food, so we're going to give a knas to the Levim.
Why should I
Can't
say
be.
that?
Can't be. Everybody agrees that's the reason. The only reason why I took away from the Levim is because they didn't come up in the days of Ezra.
In Fiddler on the Roof, there was a line, just because you had a bad week, why should I suffer?
Mhm, mhm.
Like,
And now, the Gemara does find the machlokas. There was some machlokas before. We have to explain what was the machlokas between Rabbi Yonasan and the elders. Who does it go to? It means there was a knas, not to give it to the Levims. Who does get it? So that's the machlokas. One says that the knas goes to the poor. And the other one says that the Kohanim also could get it, not only the poor, because the Kohanim are also poor. Because when they're tummy, they're poor because they have no food teeth. They only have kodesh and truma teeth. So therefore, they also could get it.
can you just repeat that again about the amount?
Why would they take away from the Levim?
We were
Because
saying it's because the Levim didn't come.
everybody agrees. Agreed
Everybody
upon.
agrees.
One reason. How come we took away from the
Yeah,
Levim?
what's
Because
that
they
to
didn't come to
do?
Israel.
And what they
Who do we give it to?
Oh, to the Anim or to the
Kohanim.
Kohanim?
One says Taniyim, we'll give it to them because they need it. And the other one says Kohanim also need it because even though they also need it when they're tummy.
Well, Anim, I see there also.
Bishlam, we can read the parentheses on the side. It says a little bit shorter version, but we can read the way it says it over here in the parentheses. Bishlam aman dama knas alani mishemach hadri avakiva lepiskal lebei kivri. Elo aman dama lekohanim aman hadri lepiskal lebei kivri. Before the story we had before, Rabbi Kiva stopped Rabbi Lezim Nazar from coming in to get Meiser. Meiser Rishon.
He'd have to go through the.
You have to go through the cemetery. So Rabbi Kiva stopped him because he holds not the argues and says that the Kohanim don't get it. That's as far as the Torah law, who's supposed to get it. But now that we said that there's a knas, this is a new sugi now, that there's a knas against the Levium. And now the Kohanim could get it.
Oh,
So why did he stop Rabbi Elazar ben Azai from getting it?
yes,
And the Gemara says if you hold it goes to the Aniyim, so then Rabbi Kiva stopped him because you're not
Not
a Levi and you're not an Ani. But if you hold it goes to the Kohanim, so why did Rabbi Kiva stop him? Depends what your attitude is. If you're coming because the Levim really get it, but you're coming because there's a knas, so then you're eligible to get it. But if you're coming because you think that the Torah law is that you're eligible, then I'm not going to let you take. If you're coming because you think that the Torah says you're allowed to take, so then I don't let you take. I'm going to stop you from taking
Zero.
because you're wrong. If you're coming because even though in the Torah law the Levium get it, but because of the knas, the Kohanim can take it, then okay. But yeah, but don't say you're coming in because you deserve to get Meiser min Torah. It's only because of the knas. That's why you're deserving to get it.
and it ends with Leicester.
Right, right.
Mhm.
I saw a cute shot, but I don't think it's true. That he says if you're coming because of the knas, Islach, you have plenty of money. Yeshlacha, you have money. It means he was rich. So he says if you're coming because of the knas only, don't take, because then it's only for the poor. Don't take. If you're coming because that's a cute shot, but I don't think it's true. Islach means you are supposed to get it, not that you have money.
Then there is.
Then, if you're coming because of a knas, you have a right to take.
Yeah, you have a right.
But there's a cute shot I saw coming in passing that hey, you have money. What do you need it for? Okay, but anyway, we came out now. So Mamish, we had three sugis about this also. Amud Aleph was about who's allowed to eat Meiser. Amud Bey's top half is Min Torah, who's supposed to get the Meiser, and Amud Bey's second half is if there was a knas against the Levium, and therefore was given either to the Kohanim or to the Aniyim. And now the Gemara speaks the pasuk that we know. Who says that the Levium didn't come in the days of Ezra? Because it says openly, pasuk in Ezra, Periches, the way you pronounce that is, it doesn't say, it's not a vase, ahava, love, it's a vav. But the way we Ashkenazim say it is like a vase, a vav, ahava. But there's a comments under the vav. If it's going to be Taimani, ahava, whatever, but it's a vav. It's a comments under the vav. It's not ehu. Haba, ahava. Nach Nisham, Yamim Shlosha. They were on the way going to Eretz Yisrael. Before they went, they all gathered in a certain station over there. I gathered them by the river that comes from the place called Abba, and we camped over there 3 days. And I reflected, I contemplated on the people, the Kohanim, they're all ready to go. There were no Levim over there. That's the Levim didn't come. Over there, it does say that he got some Levim. He got about 18 Levim to come. At that point, so he sent somebody to go to the Levim, and he, what?
18?
That's even after, first there was no Levim.
Wow.
And then he got 18 to come. I think that's the number over there. It's not too many.
And if a total of 42,000 or something.
Well, I don't know how many Levim there were. 42,000 is the whole Am
I'm
Yisrael.
saying who went up? Oh,
Yeah. Oh, yes. So where's this Ezra Perek Ches? Let's see what it says over there. I think it says, it lists out the names over there, I think. Let's
Give
see.
me the number of the pasuk that we have.
Ezra Ches.
Going to the number.
Over there it says in pasuk 15. It says this pasuk we just brought that I looked over there to see, and I saw there are no Levim. And then it says I sent Eliezer, Ariel, Ishmael, Nasam, Yariv, the whole list of names, and I commanded them to go to Ido Harosh in a place called Kasifia, and I told them what to say to Ido, whatever that is, and to bring us Mishos from the base of Canaan. And they brought Ish Sechel, and it says his name, Mibnei Machli ben Levi ben Yisrael, V'shei Revia, Ubano, V'echov Shmonoso, yeah, 18. Oh, then more. 18 and 20. Altogether, 38 will be MK.
That's very strange.
Very strange. But some Levim did tshuva. And Baruch Hashem, here we are.
what, they came later?
Yeah, it should be a schus for Levi that some Levim came to Israel now. But the Shevet Levi needed fixing up over there.
Like Yaakov did.
Amar
Rav Chisda,
Rav Chisda, they want to finish this off. Amar Rav Chisda, in the beginning, the Shotrim, what we call policemen, they're supposed to be only, but you have to think of policemen in the way that Bezdin, Shoftim, Shotrim, so he makes Shotrim, says only Levi. Shenema, Shotrim, Alavim, Lefnechem, of course, like in Tibia Yamin. So the Shotrim was supposed to be from Levi. So where's the Achshav mean after this point? It means after the story of not going up with Ezra, I don't know. But it says, Shenema, Shotrim, Harabim, Birashechem. And where's this pasuk? So there's no
19.
What? That's the first book. That's the pasuk of Shotrim Alavim Lefnechem.
Oh, we didn't find it in Tanakh.
But there's no such pasuk. There was a pasuk Shenema. There's no such pasuk. How do you like that? What do you do with that?
What do you do that?
very novel.
Printer's error, or what could it
No,
be?
no. So the first will say that you have such things that it might have been a pasuk in one of the Sfarim Chitzonim, like it's not a pasuk in the Tanakh, but it's like you have Ben Sira or other kind of famous writings that the Gemara is saying it's the Kacha, but it's not, didn't get into the Tanakh. But there's no such pasuk.
Which one? The
This one,
What was the point that it was supposed to be the Levim, were supposed to be the
Shotrim.
Shotrim, and then in the end, what, they weren't there, so they couldn't be?
No, it probably means like I don't know if it's a knas or they're not responsible enough. They're not those that elite group that's supposed to be the shofrim. So now it says Dafka from Israel. It sounds like Dafka from Israel, not so. Harabim, they say Rashi says Harabim means the ones who are more. Behind Yisrael Shem Rabim Levim, like the majority. I'm not sure. The other say different shot the word Rabim. Maybe it means like the leaders, the ones that are more leaders, not Dafka the Levim anymore.
And so probably this is a pasuk from something else, or what are you saying?
That's what I saw. The Netziv says that. In Netziv and Chumash, I saw. I just looked down for this pasuk any place. It's not a pasuk, whatever. But they say it's not in Tanakh. I saw also that here on the bottom it says, "Who's this? Who's this on the side here? This is Tosfos Rishonim." So Tosfos Rishonim, he says in the bottom, "Ein zeh pasuk b'chol ha'mikvah." B'shem ha'hainu d'chsiv v'asimein b'roshechem. Maybe it's paraphrasing a pasuk that it does say in the Torah. A suggestion, maybe. Maybe it's paraphrasing a pasuk. I saw that it's in Hamek Dovra, so he says that it was a pasuk that was known, even though it's not in Tanakh. He doesn't make a big deal out of it. Okay, yes, everybody.
I think it's just a little bit, the kids are, Mashma Ezra was the leader of the generation.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, Shach, you know, well, in his time, remember.
Yeah.
Under whose auspices did, I don't want to say whose auspices, but what gave him the impetus to get Klal Yisrael to come back to Eretz Yisrael? Koresh?
Koresh was a couple of years earlier, and he came in the Aliyah Shniya. He came in the second. It was earlier. And he came. That's right. Who's that?
It's like it's the leader of the Israeli generation.
Yes.
He was Miyuchus.
Yes. And he also got government authorization from the king. He came with a big power. He came with the power that he had.
Was he also a Navi? Or?
No.
Even though we have a book of Ezra,
Right.
he wasn't not enough.
It's in Shuvah. It's not in the Deen. It's in Shuvah. It doesn't say Yom HaShoah. No, it's very past. It wasn't.
And who initiated?
See, you're getting closer.
What?
You're getting closer. Still are here.
What is that?
Who initiated getting the rishus from the government? That and why did they pick Ezra? Why did Ezra go there?
The Rebbeim said that Hashem said to come to go up. And then when the 70 years were over, and Koresh gave permission, and they knew that it was supposed to be after 70 years. They had the vote from Yirmiyah is supposed to be 70 years only. And then by 70 years, the Koresh gave permission, and they knew that this is the Dvar Hashem.
And who was that? Mordechai and
They're all there. They're all there. And when the pasuk says the list of all the Rosh Mordechai's there.
he
The beginning of Ezra. They went up themselves also. Then he found Mordechai back again, so there has to be a reason why he went back. But Mordechai is in the list of those that went up before Ezra. Ezra came a couple of years later. The Gemara says, why didn't he come right away? Because his Rebbe,
right.
Baruch Ben was still alive. And he was too old to come.
Oh, yeah.
The Gemara says, why Ezra didn't come right away? Ezra came a number of years later.
Oh, a
Second
number of
one.
years after Forrest said you're allowed to?
Yeah.
Oh,
We had that in the Rebbe. We have to hazard again.
And
Okay, let me just
just
close
to
this.
go to more current times,